What up, guys? You guys are here again in another episode of X Pickle. Today, I have a great guest, and I'm also joined by other two great co-hosts. We got with our main guest is Connor Garnett, and we got Martin Thomas and Carlos from La Cocina. Thank you guys for joining.
Hello, guys.
How are you guys
Thanks for
doing
having
today?
me. Doing well, can't complain. Where are you guys based out of? I don't think I actually have give me the down low on where you guys are from. I'm from Orange County.
Different places. I'm based in Texas, Houston, Texas. Martin?
I'm over in Scottsdale, Arizona at the minute.
Okay.
From St. Pete. I think we've talked during
Yeah.
the phone, Connor.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you guys
yeah.
know each other.
Text messages.
Okay, so you know Carlos. So Carlos is part of like La Cocina team. They're doing like a lot of good stuff in the Spanish speaking countries. They just did like a tournament in Puerto Rico. I don't know if you guys saw. So they're doing pretty cool stuff.
Thank you, Oscar.
Yeah, how did that tournament finish up? It looked like Susanna and Mario got it.
Yeah, Susana and Mario won mix. Travis won with this local guy from St. Pete, Chris Crouch, against Jonathan Medina and Mario. And Jonathan Medina won singles. It would have been epic to see you against Jonathan Medina in the singles final if you would have come. And maybe I think you would have won most of the. I mean, I don't know. It would have been very tight matches.
Connor, why you didn't go, man?
I was in Maui. We were talking about it, and I was thinking it was for 24, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds awesome." And then he's like, "Oh, nope, next week." And I was like, "Oh, shoot." Yeah.
So Connor, I think so. I went to the PPA San Clemente finals, and you had a huge upset, or there was a huge upset in the tournament. You just beat Ben Johns, right? The freaking goat of pickleball. So, like, how did he? How was the feeling of doing so?
Yeah, I mean, Ben, I've had the last couple times I've played Ben, barring Vegas, I had been up on him in some way. Seattle, had a few match points. Daytona, I was up a set in 5-1, and he's come back, and he plays so well. When you think you have him, he comes back and still makes you really earn it. So I was up in that second set against him, and I was just thinking, I need to close here. I can't have the commentators saying, "Oh, there's another one that Connor was up and Ben's just too good." So it was a fun match, played really well. Really have to study his patterns. I mean, he does a great job of coming in with a new game plan each time you play him. So it was a lot about how can I add to my game so that he's not able to do what he wants to do. So a lot of effort on and off the court, but was stoked to finally get it, and was thinking on those last couple points, I better close here. So it was a ton of fun.
Cool. Yeah, cool, man. Do you think Ben is gonna be as good as like winning, like triple crowns in each single tournament like next year, or you think he's just gonna slow down a little bit?
I think looking at this year's singles has probably been, I would guess, the event he's won the least. I mean, still probably winning over 50% of the tournaments. But I would definitely say that competition in singles shows that there are a few different guys that can challenge him and have the capabilities to go deep in tournaments. So I would say that's probably where he's getting the toughest competition. Him and Anna Lee have been pretty dominant in mixed, and then men's dubs, I would say, is probably he's probably won the most mixed, and then men's, and then singles, I would guess. So if there was a place where people could start challenging him, it would probably be singles, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think this guy in mixed doubles, it seems like they dominate like all the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's insane. Like I've watched enough pickleball, I feel like, to kind of get a grasp of what's going on, and like to understand like how the games are setting up, how players are setting up points and things like that. These guys just don't lose. It's nuts. I have tried understanding it, and I still haven't found an answer. I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, Anna Lee on the women's side is just a powerhouse. I mean, she won more triple. I mean, they both won like just an absolute ton of triple crowns this year. I don't even want to know the number. Just demoralizing for all the other players. But I would say Anna Lee has probably gotten more on the women's side, which is just a testament to how key that women's partner is in that mixed doubles. And then Ben and Colin as a men's doubles team finished out the year very dominant, which was pretty crazy. But I mean, I think there's a lot of new players coming in, so I'm excited for next year. I think there'll definitely be a little bit more interest and excitement than this year, where they were just cleaning house.
And then after you beat Ben, that was your first match in the PPA finals, and then you lost the other two.
I lost the second and then won the third, but I was down. I had a little bit of a letdown. I lost the second and was down match point in the third. Came back, won that set, won the third set, and Christian, Ben, and I were all tied 2-1, and I lost out on the differential.
Okay. So was a little bit of disappointment, like you felt some disappointment, or like how was the feeling of, like, you know, just beating Ben Johns, but you didn't make it to the semifinals, right?
Yeah. I mean, first game against Alshon, I had a set point, had a high forehand that I missed, so 100% on me on that one. He played too good in the second set. And then Jay was playing well too, so you have to put a lot of mental strength into beating Ben, and Ben makes you earn every point, so it's tough. It's tough to have a day where you can get through a couple top players like that back to back. So it's good to take away from that, and good to know what I need to do if I want to win a tournament. You know, I'd probably have to get through a couple of those guys regardless. So it's great. I was happy with that end of the season. Obviously, I would have been more happy if I would have won the tournament, but it was good to kind of prove to myself that I could beat Ben, and now opens up next year where I got to get through a couple of those guys if I want to win the tournament.
You beat the GOAT, baby.
Yeah, that was I think I said in an interview, I said the monkey's off my back as a testament to Jimmy. It felt like that for sure.
What Jimmy?
James Ignatovich.
Oh, okay.
When he said that back in Minnesota, when he won that, he was like, the monkey's off my back.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's funny, man. Did you see what happened between Colin and Julian?
Yeah, I mean, those guys, Julian's got a fiery personality. I think I've never had any issues with him on the court, but I can definitely see how something like that could happen. And I know Colin's not going to back down from any of that stuff either. So it was one of those things that you put those two on a court, and I think there's probably been some history there.
It's just like the opposite personalities, right? Like,
yeah.
But I like those type of like personalities. I think it's good for the sport, right? It's good marketing, I think. Just like Kyrgios for tennis, right?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta it's great marketing for the sport. You gotta be who you want to be on the court, and engage with the fans how you want. And the more personality you have, the more marketable you're gonna be. So it's definitely, I mean, we're still talking about it, so it's definitely bringing more buzz to pickleball. So from a engagement perspective, it was pretty exciting.
I have a question. What about from a player's perspective? Because obviously, you know, for the fans watching, for the people watching at home, it's great, right? It's entertainment, it's fantastic. But you know, from a player's standpoint, I mean, I bet it can't be nice, you know, walking around the tournaments and, you know, you having these, you know, history with these players. You know, do you think that plays a role? You know, do you think players kind of keep those grudges and hold them?
I would, yeah. I mean, I don't think that kind of trash talk started that match for those guys. I mean, I think it's just I've had instances where like I've gotten into it a little bit with people, but usually like depending on who you are, you can put it behind you. And there's no one right now on the tour that like I would go into a match with like knowing that something dramatic is going to happen. But there's always those times that it can get out of hand just because you're playing at what a 20. I think I played 25 tournaments this year in a 52-week year. Like that's a lot of pickleball. You're seeing the same people a lot of the time. Like it's understandable that you can get frustrated with someone at some point. And you've seen it with different people throughout the years. So completely understandable. And then it's just how you handle it off court, I think, will kind of be a testament to if that stays as a rivalry or if it kind of gets squashed and you guys are buddies again.
What do you think of it, La Cocina?
About the
Like,
rivalries?
yeah, I like
I just think
Julian's personality. You think it's good for the sport?
what is funny is that like I've been to a couple of MLPs this year, and like outside the court, he's like the quietest guy ever. So it's just funny to see that big transformation. At the beginning, I was not a big fan of him, but now I kind of like him. But I don't know. I think this year just has been way too long for the players, and you could see in the last couple of tournaments how there was like a lack of energy and like players still like kind of groggy. So I just think rivalries are good, but like too many tournaments, you're gonna see if you have these guys seeing each other for half of the year, almost every weekend, there's stuff is gonna happen. It's impossible. It's like in high school. In high school, even if you are the nicest guy and you see someone every day and there was like a joke that was not received the right way, something's gonna happen. So it's just impossible to not have any issues between players with so many weekends of play.
You agree with that, Connor? You think like on the last during the last tournaments, the players were, like in a like the energy was low?
I think depending on the players, I mean, there were definitely more upsets towards the end of the year. So it's, yeah, I would say there was for sure some fatigue with certain players. And I think it's kind of an ebb and a flow throughout the season. Like I felt like there were tournaments where I was a little groggy, but I would say probably the end of the year I was playing better. And then other players were groggy at the end of the season, but took breaks throughout. So it's how do you manage your schedule? And so everyone manages it a little differently. And you'll kind of see that kind of, I think Tyson took like a month off in the middle of the year and then came back, and his first tournament might have been TOC. I could be 100% wrong there. And he triple crowned in that one. So it's you start to pick up on how a lot of these top players handle the time off and managing it so that you can maximize your play throughout the year.
For sure. No, definitely like just like the top players in tennis, right? Like you have to like Djokovic, Federer, or whenever Federer was on tour, like they don't play every single tournament, right? You have to be able to like manage your schedule in a way that benefits you so that you can perform at your best, right?
Yeah, it's a little trickier in pickle just because this year I think they're updating it next year, but every tournament meant so much. It's like if I took 2 tournaments off, that's if 2 quarterfinals equates points wise to 1 semi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if I'm almost down to someone that's just making quarters if I make a semi in the tournament because they play 2 quarters, maybe they lose first round, they get the whatever points for just showing up. So their 3 tournaments is worth more than my 1 semi. So it's a tricky balance with pickle where tennis, like Raj could take off all of like grass court season and go in and make a semi or win Wimby, and he gets just an insane amount of points.
Yeah.
And all those like precursor tournaments don't matter as much. So that's the one thing with pickle where you are incentivized to play more tournaments than tennis, but there is definitely a way to manage it, and finding that is going to be key.
Is it true that the facility there in San Clemente is the best one in tour?
It's a nice facility. I mean, Cincinnati, that's where the tennis tournament was. So we had some pretty nice locker rooms and stuff there. That was a good one. All I care about is the nets, like the tennis nets or the backdrop not being too close to my paddle. So a lot of facilities were good for that, but there were a few that were a little bit tougher in that regard.
I mean, it's in your home state, man, right?
Yeah, Newport, when they still had it there, that was a beautiful tournament. That was like 15 minutes from me. That was the dream.
Are you like from Cali? From Cali?
I grew up in Seattle and then moved out here to for my job before I quit about 3 years ago.
You were, I guess, like now that you mentioned your job, you were in investment banking before, right? Whenever
Yeah.
you started playing pickle, right?
Yeah, I
I get.
did like 2.5 years of that and then transitioned over.
Is it true that you work there like there is no tomorrow?
The first year I was clocking like 80-hour weeks,
Wow.
basically, and because people say that, but to get a true appreciation, like if you think about an 80-hour week, you divide 80 by 10 hours a day, and that's still more than 7 days a week. So you have to be working over 10 hours a day, including weekends, for it to be like that. Usually it's like 12 to 14 during the week, and then the weekends are not a ton of hours, but you wake up at like 7. And I would remember like this was in COVID, so I was still working from home and I had a little studio, and I would go to my computer. It was up the spiral staircase, and I would look at my laptop and it'd be like 4 p.m. because we were just so busy that you don't eat. You're like, oh shoot, I better like Uber eat some lunch. And it's nice because you get a lot of your food and stuff covered from the company, like your dinner. We got like a per diem of $25, so you could just Uber
Hmm.
Eats Chipotle and you're set. So you get a lot of nice perks, but definitely you work like a dog that first
Hmm.
year or two, and teaches you a lot of great skills, but a lot of work as well.
Well, guys, I just quickly wanted to stop and mention my favorite paddle in the market right now. These paddles are from Pelo. As you can see here, they have the PX Famos. This paddle is used by Jonathan Medina Alvarez, top 5 APP player. To be honest, like I only recommend good stuff, and the Pelo paddles are one of the best in the market right now. So go check them out in the link below. Pelo and Xpico, baby. Yeah, that's what I hear from like people that work in that industry, right? Like you get paid a lot. I guess like you get paid pretty well, but like there's no work-life balance.
Yeah. But I mean, I would argue that in anything you do, like I have
Mhm.
no work-life balance in pickleball. Like I'm probably clocking like the same hours, but it's hopping on like this, which is fun, or like playing pickleball, or like I don't know. There's so many other things like where if you want to be good at something, you got to be putting in those like 60 to
No,
80
you're right.
hours.
No, you're right. You're right there for sure. You gotta
And
be
I just as
obsessed
well
with what
hopped
you do.
on here on Saturday. So I think we're all a little overworked.
Oh yeah. I was actually going to ask, you mentioned I mean, you're probably spending that much time on, on pickleball. How much would you say you're actually like playing? The only reason I ask, you know, we have quite a younger audience. Some people that are kind of younger that look up to you and, see you as like a role model coming up in the sport. Like if you had like a message to them, like, how many hours like are you putting in? Like what kind of things are you doing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it kind of goes to the question of like, where do you want to be known in pickleball? And so this year I've done some stuff to set up like infrastructure with camps and other stuff. So I would say 2024, I'll have kind of my other things in pickleball set up that I want to do. And then once you have that, then it's like I want to be doing probably like 3 to 4 hours on the court a day with like an hour of working out, like slash stretching. And that's kind of the target. But uh
Pickleball
I
coach,
would
listen.
I'm
I
always
would
listening
say
to
like,
Carlos is a pickle coach, if you
would
didn't
you
know.
agree with that, Carlos, or what are your thoughts?
No, I think my question that I was gonna ask you, but I guess it interlaps with this question is like about the business side because I know that you mentioned in a couple of podcasts before that you're very interested in the business side of Pickleball. But before I ask that questions about the camp, I think for the camps for you it's obviously a great idea. It's good money and it's very fulfilling and you can add it very easily to your schedule. I think we talk about you coming here to St. Pete to do a couple of camps, so that'd be great. But yeah, so is that what so is that what you see yourself doing in the business side this year? I also had like a question like what's your involvement with ProXR and like with other companies that you're working on? Because I know you are very interested in the business side of pickleball as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say camps is something I am just with some of the sponsors that I'm talking to, and ProXR has done a great job of this with me. It's just like kind of fostering different ideas, whether it's like giveaways at camps. I've been able to give away some ProXR paddles, and so it's just kind of utilizing the sponsors and stuff like that to kind of help with the business ideas. Camps is a big one, but I think the message I would say on the business side is it's easy to do what everyone else is doing. And so Tyson has his camp model, Ben has his pickleball getaways, Zane has his model. Find out what makes you you. Like
Mhm.
I came out with a logo and now I've seen like maybe 10 other people with a logo, and I wasn't the first, so I'm not trying to take credit. I saw someone else do a logo, but like seeing everyone with the logo now, I'm like, oh, like I'm not unique with it. So it's like I think a big part of succeeding in pickleball business is finding out what makes you special and then doing that. And so you can follow everyone else's stuff if you add your own twist to it. And so that's kind of the key with a lot of the stuff and how I try and approach it is there's like maybe a product I want to launch or maybe like some clubs I want to partner with or stuff like that. But I want to make sure it's in a way that's unique to me that resonates and is authentic, and that authenticity, like when you start even like partnering with brands that maybe don't align with your core values, you might be getting paid well, but does that money twofold. One, it's inauthentic, so that's kind of like you have to wrestle with that just as a person. But then secondly, if you look at it purely from a financial standpoint, is that inauthenticity going to deter followers from you and then down the road even harm you financially? So it's like there's a lot of stuff, but I think being authentic will benefit you long term
Hmm.
and kind of be the manifesto to go by, or at least that's what I'm going by.
Yeah, just gotta be yourself and find your niche, baby. Right?
Exactly. That's look at right there. That's the quote of the day right there.
Maybe you can be the financial advisor of other pickleball players.
This
Yeah.
is true, and I mean it's interesting. Like that's definitely like what I kind of want to be like, whether it's my camps or whatnot. Like I want to create that like like that high class like networking event, or like if it's a pickleball camp, it's like kind of that classy like offsite that like we did in investment banking. It's like we went to like Ojai for an event, and it was we played golf, and I think we played oh my goodness, I'm gonna butcher this. It's maybe croquet or something
Okay,
like,
okay.
and it's like you can just go out and do that and put like a classy like pickleball event together and cater to that clientele and be able to speak that language. And I think that's something that is where I find myself gravitating towards.
Cool, man. Cool. Yeah. Just like I think you just gotta everyone in this world, right? In order to be successful, I think you just gotta be yourself and do what you like, and hopefully you're good at it. I think that's the best combination of for you to be successful. So I agree with you. So I guess controversial topic here. Connor and Carlos and Martin. Connor, you're a player, right? What do you think of what you just happened with like the MLP and PPA pay cuts, right? Do you think it's a good thing for the sport? Like, how did that affect you? Or yeah, just give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think my only comments are that I want the sport to succeed. So whatever that means for the players having to kind of help do that, that's super important. And I want to be able to play in a full schedule next year because I think winning solves everything. And so those are kind of my two thoughts. And then I hopefully everything else will ultimately shake out to be a meritocracy. But, with a new sport, there's a lot of like enthusiasm, and I think it causes there to be just crazy situations where there's just people get put in a tough spot and they're trying to figure out how to handle it the best way possible. And you have a lot of personalities in every facet from the leagues, from the player side. And so it's a tricky situation, and the sport is so new that hopefully as the sport evolves, there's going to be lessons learned from this. And I think that's what it seems like. And, I can't say I'm surprised in such a new sport things like this are happening. It makes sense. And so you just have to put on your big boy pants and do what's necessary for the success of the sport, I think.
No, yeah, for sure. Have you heard any complaints from any of the players?
Yeah, I mean, there's people on all sides of this. Some people got crazy good deals. Some people are furious because they got really underpaid. Some people are, happy medium. Like there's gonna be all those sides of it naturally with something like this.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, like you said, depending on, what deals people are getting, of course, they're going to have different reactions to it. I think that's challenging for both sides, right? I mean, for the players, but also for the companies. I think it's pretty challenging. I think, honestly, I find it difficult to me personally. I find I agree with what you're saying. With kind of having to evolve the sport. That's like the key principle for everyone. What everyone wants is for the sport of pickleball to progress. So again, this is maybe just my opinion, maybe it's a bad opinion, but I think people that are complaining about it, I think honestly maybe should have a different point of view of thinking, instead of saying, oh, I'm getting a pay cut, like I shouldn't be doing this, I provide way more for the sport than what I'm getting. Surely shouldn't it be almost a privilege that, hey, like you're doing something, you're playing pickleball as a profession. Like this is something that many people would dream of doing. You have people in the most respectful way shoveling poo on the streets to make $15 an hour, and you're complaining that you're getting a pay cut for playing a sport. I think it's pretty challenging to really have an opinion like that.
But
Yeah,
but
well, how this was sold to players were that like players were gonna be able to live from this. So a bunch of players quit their jobs. And like there's people that we know that are international players and they have visas, and as when you have a visa you have to comply with the different requirements. And if you quit your job because you think that you can live off pickleball, well, that can mess your visa status. So I mean, I think it's just a learning experience for the whole pickleball professional tour ecosystem as a whole. But I mean, first, it was too good to be true at first, but like, I mean, if you get shoved like at $300,000 a year annual salary, you're gonna say yes, because most people have never seen those numbers in their lives. But you can also not do that without knowing if you have the money to back it up. So it's just a learning experience, but yeah, it's not something that can be done again if we want people to grow.
I kind of agree. It could be the difference between like me, for example. I'm not trying to become pro, but like if I was trying to become pro and I have like a full-time job, and this pay cut could be like I guess like it could move the needle between like me trying to become a pro player or staying at my job, right? Because it's a 40% pay cut, right?
Yeah, and I'll just ask one question to you, Martin. So let's say let's say I come in and I'm like, hey, I'll give you like 120 grand to do the pod, and you're like, heck yeah, you're like stoked, and maybe you're making more than that already. But and then you're stoked, and then I come around and I'm like, Oscar, my man, 400 grand for you. And then you find out about this, like what, like that's kind of a situation where it's a little bit more how the players could see it, and those are just figurative numbers, but that is an issue that's coming up. And it's like, when you comparison is like the thief of progress, I think, is something like they say. And so it's like, when you're looking at someone, that you have your perception of like how much value they bring compared to you, and then the monetary like numbers don't align, like does that, like that's kind of how I would impress you to think about it. And that's where some of the players are coming from that are upset at. I think there's merit on all sides of the equation. It's definitely a tough spot.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is. But yeah, I guess like good to hear your thoughts from the pro side. I guess moving to our next topic, that we're running out of time a little bit. So Connor, what do you think of the new tennis group coming into Pickle? Who do you think is going to do better? Jack Sock, Jeannie Bouchard, Donald Young is coming as well, right? And Sam Querrey, he's been in the tour for a while. Who do you think is going to do best?
Well, I've been playing a little with Donald. I played with him back in Atlanta, and he's been
really? Okay.
This week, and you know, he's got some game. I think he's probably played the least. I don't know how much Jeannie's played, but on the guys' side, I think he's played the least compared to Sock and Query. But he's got some game. So if he wants to get into it, he can definitely do some damage. Sock's already proved himself a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, I think De Young at the end of this year, if he's all in on Pickle, I know he's still playing a good amount of tennis tournaments. He could do some damage, but they're all solid. They're all going to be solid players. You've seen Jack go deep. Sam's putting in some more work into pickleball now and taking it a little more serious, and has had some better results for it. So I'm excited. It's fun to play against these guys that I grew up watching play tennis, and hopefully have some fun matches with them, and have some battles.
Do you see anyone getting a little cheeky gold medal in 2024, or?
Depends on who their partner is. I mean, Jack has Catherine for mix, like that's gonna definitely help. But I mean, if it's tough. I don't see a gold in any of their futures this year.
Hey, that's a good statement.
That's a good one. I might have to make a little bet with you on that one.
Yeah, we'll put this on TikTok. I like it. No medals for the new tennis players. Yeah, Jack Sock. Hopefully you're hearing this.
Pickleballers have to hold out and stay strong. We can't just have these tennis players walk in year one getting gold medals. It'll make pickleball look a little easier than it should be.
Yeah, but I guess to wrap it up here, talking about tennis, I think you were really good. Like, you were a really solid tennis player, right? I was like actually like preparing for this yesterday, and I saw you. I knew you were like a U.S. Open hitting pattern and stuff, but I saw a video of you playing with Nolly. Connor must have been a pretty solid player.
Yeah, I was decent. I played at Santa Clara, D1 West Coast Conference. Played like averaged out 3. I played a couple matches, 2. Started at 4, so was solid there. Then did a year in England. Played over there. Had some really good wins in England. Just on their like college scene, and then was gonna do the full futures. Like, I was playing well, had some solid wins, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go play all the futures. And that's when COVID hit, and
investment banking, baby.
Yeah, then I was like, all right, take me back to the US, get me into IB.
But yeah, man, thank you so much for being here with us. We gotta wrap up, but man, Connor, thank you so much again for the time. We wish you the best for next season. Hopefully you keep your word, and you're gonna kill all these new tennis players coming into the tour next year.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was awesome.
No, I
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Appreciate
Probably
it.
mean, like,
Thank you.